What's up guys, my name's Luke and welcome back to Motion and Design. So this has been a pretty busy week for me and I couldn't figure out what to do for a tutorial, so I thought I'd do something just quite chilled. I've been doing a lot of style frames and R&D recently, so I thought I would do another style frame. I've been messing around with that glass, and so just for fun I did one around glass. This is going to be a really basic tutorial, so very beginner friendly. I'm going to be doing a redshift, but you can do this in Octane. I mean, when it comes to the texturing, the only thing I'm using is just a gradient, or in redshift a ramp. So yeah, let's get straight into this. Although before we do, if you like this sort of content, please consider liking and subscribing. And yeah, now we can get straight into it. Cool. So yeah, like I said, this is going to be a pretty chilled one. Nothing really too advanced, too complicated. It's just going to be building out a cool looking shot using some glass. So let's go over here, make this like 800 by 100, maybe 400. Cool, so grab our starting point. Let's grab a bend deformer over here. Just hold down shift and you'll be able to add it onto here. Let's just make sure we're on the right axis. Let's change up here. It is on the right axis. It's just not working because you have to press NB. We don't have any segments, so let's add some segments. I think 20 should be good. And then let's turn this up. Nice. Let's maybe set this to about 60 over here. And then let's drag this off to the side over here. And then let's duplicate our bend, change it to the opposite, so that's going to be plus X now. Let's hit fit to parent, and that is not what I'm wanting to do. There we go, that's what I'm wanting to do. And now let's just drag this off to the side. Cool, now we have this nice little S shape over here. So this over here is pretty much going to be the basis of this entire look. I just like this look. I mean, if you looked at the beginning of the render, you'll notice that I had this like really nice like curve to it. And pretty much all I'm doing is I am using this exact piece of geometry just multiple times with different sizes. Cool, so we have that over there. Let's add a little bit of variation to that. Let's grab a rectangle over here and let's do the same thing. Let's change it to XC with a width of 100, a width of 800 and a height of 100. Let's actually make this a little bit smaller, so maybe like 80. Let's take these and copy them over here. And the same thing, it's not going to show any movement because if we change this to natural, now we have it nice and curved, although you will notice that there are little jagged bits over there. That's very easy to fix. Let's just set that to 30 and now it's nice and smooth. Let's just drag this up a bit and cool, now we have a kind of spline on top of it. We'll just add you can either add a sweep onto it, but I mean, if you're using redshift, we can just add a render tag and then go to the curve over here and set this to capsules, and then we should be able to see that when it comes to the rendering stage. Cool, so now let's build out the scene a little bit more. Let's just first create a camera over here, because with 3D, it doesn't really matter what you have in your scene, it's mainly what the camera sees, so there's no point in building anything outside of the scene that the camera doesn't see. So let's just focus on this over here. Let's also grab a cylinder, because I think that's going to be our main subject matter. Obviously you can add products or something like that if you want to in the middle here, but I didn't have a product in mind, so for now it is just going to be a pretty cool little cylinder. Let's just add a fillet onto it, maybe with a radius of like, radius of like 2, something like that, maybe even 1, so it's more subtle. Cool, that is the basis of our scene over here. Now let's go and build this out a little bit more. Let's duplicate our cube over here, bring this off to the side, let's make it way wider and way longer. Let's bring this down, something like that. Maybe we can even make it a little bit longer, something like that, but we also want to increase the segments just so that it's a little bit smoother. Let's change this to about 30, and cool, now we have that over there. Let's duplicate this up here, pull it across. Let's actually just make one that's going to be our floor over here, so let's just pull that all the way there, and let's just make it higher over there. So this is just going to be our background, just so that the entire scene is full. Cool, now that we have that, let's build out a little bit more. Let's take our original cube. Let's delete our bend deformers. This isn't our original cube, but it's okay. We can make it the original one. It's like 800 by 100, something like that, maybe 400, 600, nice middle ground. And instead of using a bend, let's use a twist deformer. So yeah, this is going to be a very simple tutorial. It's more just building out something. I mean, the nice thing when it comes to stuff like this is that you really don't need to know much technical knowledge, and you can build a pretty cool scene. I mean, I'm not going to say this is the most amazing shot, at least the one that you saw in the beginning, but I mean, it's pretty visually appealing, it's quite eye-catching. So yeah, it's the nice thing is that you can build out these things without having much knowledge on how to do certain things. Literally all we're going to be using is a bend deformer and a twist deformer, and we're going to make a pretty cool looking scene. I'll try next week to do something a little bit more advanced than this. It was just that I've been quite tired this week, so I wanted to do something a little bit more chilled, a little bit more relaxing. And so yeah, I hope you guys don't mind too much. I presume you guys won't, but you never know. Cool, so let's go and open up our render view, just because at the moment all we're looking at is a bunch of lines and we want to see how it's looking. So yeah, that does not look great so far, but we're going to make it look great. Let's go over here, say fit to parent, and maybe bring this all to the side a bit more. Let's also bring this down. I mean, at the moment this is all about composition. It's right there. Composition, that's what I'm looking for. Depending on the composition that you're trying to build, yeah, I would turn on these things so that you can make sure that you can get some nice variations in it and that it's all visually appealing. So yeah, let's use this triangles over here. So we're going to be working with this. So if we're doing that, might as well rotate this a little bit more so that we're working parallel. Let's center this over here. And let's move this so that we are working along this line. I don't think the camera is perfect, but it is okay. I mean, this feels pretty parallel over here. Let's just increase this a little bit more. Let's bring this up. Let's make this one a bit wider. This is just going to be filling out this corner over here. Let's do a few more of these rectangles. So just so we can actually see them. Oh wait, I already added it. We got the capsule over here. Let's just make the thickness a little bit bigger. So like 2, maybe 3. 3 should be fine. And yeah, let's bring this out to the side over here. Maybe instead let's take it down here so it's closer over there. But I don't want to see the end of it, so let's just make it longer. So all we're getting is this nice line over there. Cool, let's duplicate this again. Let's maybe make it a lot smaller. Something like that. And let's take our rectangle again. And let's bring this off to the side and just use it over there. But this time I actually want to see it, so let's make it quite small. We can maybe do it where it's like half in and half out over here. So it's going along there. I think that looks pretty cool. I think the only spot that's like really missing is maybe up here and over here. So let's take our original one over here, let's bring that over there, and let's just make this a bit smaller. And I think we're gonna have to move our bends a little bit closer and just increase this by a bit. And let's just bring this over here. I actually kind of want to follow this shape over here, so let me delete this. You can hide that for now. Let's find this one. Let's grab this bend deformer and place it in there. And now it will go with that bend shape over there. I think that looks quite nice. Maybe something like that. And let's grab maybe one more of these. Take the bend deformer over here. Actually, before we place it in it, let's just move this over there and let's put it inside of it. Cool. And let's just make it a bit smaller. And let's remove our yeah, I think something like that looks pretty cool. We can even just take these two, duplicate them, bring them down over here, and then maybe just let's go with this one. And there we go. Now we have a pretty cool little composition over here. Obviously, you guys can spend a little bit more time on it if you're wanting to make it a little bit more advanced. But I mean, we're just doing something super chilled, so I think something like this works perfectly fine. Cool. Now let's work on some lighting. So for this, because of the fact that we're using glass, it is nice to kind of use HDRIs. You can either do an HDRI by creating a custom HDRI, but just because I was looking to make something quite chilled and also I got some really nice results, I used some HDRIs. So I used this HDRI over here. It's this HDRI Sky 352. You can get it for free. There's a free 2K one over here, or you can go and buy the full 8K version if you want to. But for what we're doing, especially because you don't need to see it, this 2K works perfectly. I also used this 44 Street Manhattan neon lights. It is $4. I don't know if there is a free one, but yeah, I mean it's quite cheap. But alternatively, you could just get another HDRI, and you can get different results. You'll see what I mean. Cool. So let's go in and add an HDRI. Let's go to here, grab a dome light. Let's just neaten up the scene a bit. Let's grab all our rectangles and put those together. And then just make sure that this is at the bottom. Cool, and with our HDRI selected, let's select our HDRI. So it's this. And I mean, really just in grayscale. This already looks quite cool with all the shadows and all the shapes. So you see what I mean is that you can get some really cool results just by doing some really simple things. Yeah, sorry to all the people who wanted a little bit more of an advanced tutorial. I hopefully will be doing one of those shortly. Hopefully next week I'll have a little bit more time to focus on one. And I do have a little short form coming out for my Patreon, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so I made these textures beforehand. The reason for that is just because they're really simple. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some colors from this colors or coolers.co. It has to be my favorite place to get colors because they just have so many color palettes over here. And it's so easy, it's quite easy. I mean, if you like this color, you just click on it and it automatically copied. And now if you actually press paste, it's there. So yeah, would highly recommend. So what I'm doing with this texture is all I have is a ramp over here, and you see it's just from light pink to dark pink. I'll show you the different ramps that I used. This one's more like light to orange. This one over here is like this kind of light green, and then this one over here is this more blue to pink. So you'll notice with all of them that I don't have any harsh colors. All of these are really, really soft. I'll show you why in a second, but yeah, for now, just keep an eye on that when actually choosing your colors. If you do want to use a color like this or something like that, take it and then just bring down, just go over here and then just bring down the saturation by a bit. You can still get a similar color, but it won't be as bright. Let me show you why. If we had to Oh wait, sorry, one more thing before we do that is the only other thing that I changed is that I have a tiny amount of roughness over here, 0.048, and I brought up the IOR to 2427. So let me drag this onto our block over here, and maybe over here, so we can see what we're doing. And let me show you why I did that with the IOR. If we had to leave the IOR at you know, I think it's 1.4 is the original IOR, where it decides to reload, we don't get as much of, you know, reflectiveness. You see up here, you can even see over here that it doesn't reflect as much. So if we change it back to this over here, we get these really nice reflections, and I just really like the look of it a lot more. Cool, so now let's go and add our textures randomly. So I'm just gonna apply these randomly over here, because of the fact that we're using glass a lot of the time. They're gonna overlay on each other and create different looks, so it can be fun to just kind of mess around and see what type of looks you can get. So you'll see over here, everything has kind of disappeared. We have no color anymore. The reason for that is that this glass is transmissive. So obviously I have no diffuse, bring that all the way down, and transmission is all the way up. But we can fix that just by adding in a plane over here. Let's make this really big. And slow down. You go over here. Let's just rotate it like that, so that the light can actually catch it. Cool, now let's find a spot that looks quite nice. I mean, I think that looks really nice with the light coming across. Obviously, you guys can add different HDRIs and different lights to the scene. You'll get a variety of different results from it. But for now, I think this looks quite nice. Now, let's add another dome light. And let's go and grab our other texture. Let's rotate this a bit till we find a spot that we think looks nice. And then let's also just bring up our intensity to maybe like 2. And look at that, just by using an HDRI, we're able to get this really cool kind. I mean, it looks like it's complicated. I mean, it looks like you spent a lot of time, you know, creating these visuals. But I mean, look at this, just by rotating around the HDRI, we're getting all these different looks. And we can layer on another HDRI over here and make it a little bit brighter. And look at this, we have a really cool scene over here. It was super simple to make. I mean, you can have just downloaded Cinema 4D today and you can make a cool scene like this, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously there are certain techniques that you can do to make this better, and I'd highly recommend that, you know, you mess around a little bit more. I mean, I mainly use like the bend deformer just so that we have this like kind of flowing shape throughout it, just to have this kind of uniformity to it. But I'd recommend, you know, spicing it up, adding more things, make everything spherical, you know, work with like round edges. So yeah, actually, speaking about round edges, look at the difference that we can make. So this looks pretty cool at the moment. If we had to go and select all of our cubes over here, that's not all of our cubes. Now we're selecting all of our cubes. Let's go to here, select fillets. Let's make this like 0.1. Look at the difference that you get. I mean, that's the one nice thing that I really like about messing around with glass, is that you never really know the results you're gonna get. I mean, obviously you can go in and try get specific results, but if you're just messing around like this, you can get some really cool results. I mean, like, look at this. It looks, I don't know, kind of looks like a galaxy. And just by rotating around our HDRI over here, we get some more weird and wonderful results. So yeah, mess around with this, try different techniques, try different shapes, try different HDRIs, try different colors. I mean, another thing you can do if you want to, let me turn off this for now. Let's go over here, add in another HDRI dome light over here. Yeah, and also just kind of mess around with the colors, obviously. Cool, in our HDR over here, let's go and say add graph. Let's go and look for C4D. Shout out to Lucas, for his technique of, creating these like little custom HDRIs. If you haven't seen his video on lighting reflective objects, I would highly recommend doing that. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Let's go over here. We don't need to set this too high, so maybe like 1000 by 1000. And let's go and add a gradient. And we don't even need to do anything. Let's just add in a custom gradient like this. And now we get a whole bunch of different results. Change it to a different gradient, we get a bunch of different results. Just the one thing that I liked about HDRIs is that it has a lot of stuff going on. But you can do that with your own textures. If you want to, you could just even add in a texture as the HDRI, and you can get a bunch of different results. Although if you are doing that, I would recommend adding some additional lights to your scene, just like by adding some like area lights and stuff like that, just so that you get a little bit more control over like where certain highlights are. Just by doing that, we get a bunch more highlights there. That already looks really nice. And you see what I mean of all the different results and different types of looks you can get just by doing some really simple things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Sorry it wasn't really the most complicated tutorial, but I thought we could make some really cool results from this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you're interested in it, the project files will obviously be up on my Patreon. But yeah, hopefully I will see you guys next week, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Peace.